at the earliest at the end of November, and have a couple days, and then we didn't get to January this year, well past our due date.
So we did get something, so we had a meeting in
February,
February.
I was
That's
gonna
what
say.
I'm
it was
saying.
February meeting was
February.
on.
Right.
Yep. So we went over those issues with him. He's aware of all that stuff. He can help write
Good.
collective bargaining agreements from healthcare perspective.
Okay.
They have that ability on there. They also have an actuarial person on there that can start the next year's projections, especially if we go to Medicon.
Yeah,
The next year's projections in June instead of November.
that'd be nice.
So that we're not dealing with the November scramble that you guys have been annually dealing with for the last decade.
Can we make a budget and then?
Make a budget first, and then you find out what your healthcare expenses really are going to be. So they have the ability where they can get that pretty darn close to what the final number is going to be when renewals come. So he said, I said he checked all the right blocks on the healthcare side. So I feel comfortable to have him come and do a presentation to everybody.
Good.
Good.
Now, on the working group side, we talked about concept, but we'd like to flesh that out. What we talked about with the working group is one supervisor, manager, union rep, non-union rep, Liz, and I recommend chief, because he's a manager.
Yeah.
So you have,
As a manager, yeah.
that would be your healthcare working group at this point.
Okay.
If the board's okay with that concept, then we'll start making reach outs. I just need to know from Alan who's going to do the help of the supervisor side of the healthcare working group.
Okay, I'll do it. What you want to do?
Oh.
What do you want to do?
I'll do it.
I got my hands full with EMS.
I'll do that.
So Alan, we'll get the working group being set up. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll find out on the union side who they're going to
Yeah.
be submitting.
That
On the
makes
non-uniform side, there'll be Dan Tasco.
Okay.
Will be
Okay.
the non-uniform rep, assuming that he's willing to do that. But that was what we had talked about. He's the one that had the most, some of the most questions, but it seemed like he'd be a good person to include in there. He's taken a personal.
I was gonna say he's showing interest, so that's important.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
important. Yeah, well, that's good, that's good.
So if he's willing to do that, then he would be the non-union rep on the healthcare group.
Yep.
Now you can see Liz back there, so I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, that's fine.
That hit all the, check all the blocks now.
I was, while you were talking, I was watching her face, and when you said it'd be less work for Liz, her face lit up. I've heard that line before, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, the high deductible account will make her, because we talked about that. All the deductible reimbursements that she currently has to process
Right.
go away with the high deductible plan.
Yeah.
And we addressed the copay issue too.
That was the one, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
those
problem.
are both problem areas that consume some of our time. That all goes away.
Yep.
So then that was the goal that we presented, and was we wanted to address those two issues on the administrative side.
Good deal. Manager report.
I want to keep this real quick because I have an 11:30 meeting. Sturdy Bill met with us about 2 weeks ago now. There's going to be some text amendment relief that they're going to need after a zoning hearing order that has some denials, primarily related to right-of-way along Hill Road. We have an extremely wide right-of-way that's disproportionate. It's as wide as Colonel Allard Boulevard in some places along Hill Road, and then narrows down into our standard right-of-way.
That would be Stonehill Road.
Yes, thank you, not Hill Road, yeah. So we're going to need to do some adjustments there for that. Sunny Point Park update with the press here. We have, let's see if I can find it. Design Day is coming up. Help design your playground, May 6th. It's going to be our design day at Reedstone Elementary School. If I can get your email address, I will send you a boatload of information on that one, because I'd love to have an article in there in the paper kind of helping promote this community event. We have volunteer sign-up list is going to be emailed out. You guys might have already received it. I had problems with mine getting caught in spam, and so I unlocked it from my spam folder. So if you didn't receive something, it might be in your spam folder. But we did send out an email to everybody, to the greater group, looking for volunteers for Design Day, in particular for the reveal that evening at 6 o'clock, which that's the volunteer intensive part is the evening.
I don't need it.
No, there's no clearance is needed for being there. The daytime crew does need to have Cocalico School District clearance. I do have my clearances now. A lot of the volunteers have gotten their clearance for but this is our community build project, which we talked about in multiple meetings. And design day is the first start. We do have Gaiman's Mennonite School also participating in design day. So there's 150 kids there, along with the 400 plus kids at Greenstown Elementary School that will participate. I will actually be leading the one in Gaiman's Mennonite. So I will sit through our designer's first presentation at Greenstown Elementary School, and then I will take a team over to their school, and we will emulate what we had seen and imitate to the best of our abilities what the designer is doing in Greenstown Elementary School. Drawings has been submitted. They've actually gone out today, so if you look behind you, this is actually what's going out to all the Greenstown Elementary School kids today, and going out to all the Gaiman School kids next week. So they're getting information. You can see the reveal information there, whether they're attending or not, number of kids and children. It's going to be at school, right? Everything's at Greenstown for design day and the reveal. Name your playground, so if anybody wants to name it, well, it might be Stony Point Park, the playground can have a separate name. And it's usually good to actually have a name for your playground once you post it like this. Then the next section is where the kids draw their ideal playground or a component in the playground. And that's the whole purpose of design day. So they will put their drawings, they might draw a rock, or a slide, they might, whatever they design. The designer will have all these. So when this gets handed out today, next Friday, it's actually a homework assignment for all the kids at Greentown Elementary School to complete this. The teachers are going to collect it up. Jim Wallman, as chairman of the Stony Point LLC, will be collecting up all those drawings. And then Sunday, we have a meeting with the designer and reveal all that information to him. And then Monday, he does design day. So the Stony Point Working Group is going to be actually meeting with the school district on Friday next week to take all the information up, do any last minute coordination. Sunday, we meet with the designer. Sunday afternoon, we walk Stony Point Park. We go through all the kids' drawings. I should have the site survey at that point for him to start utilizing. And then Monday morning, 9 o'clock, he starts in Greentown Elementary School. So although us volunteers are going to be there at 8:30, he starts at 9. Around 10 o'clock, we start with Gaiman's with my team and do the guys, the classes in Gaiman's. By lunchtime, it's all done. So we come back with all the information, we get the designer, do a quick little report out of everything that we heard, and then he goes to the Comfort Inn, and which he got a free room with. They donated rooms for May 5th and May 6th for him to stay at. He'll stay at the Comfort Inn, he'll design his stuff, and then he will come back that evening for the reveal, and we reveal the design, that's why it's called a reveal. So he reveals the initial design. So he will have the working group input, he'll have the kids' input, he'll incorporate some of the kids' designs into the design. He knows the $400,000 budget that we're working with at this point. And he will come back with a reveal at that point. So that's kind of in a basic nutshell. After the reveal, what happens is he refines the design. And about 2 weeks after that's done, we'll have our first concept plan, like a true concept plan that's buildable. He's going to have a lot more work to do after that, but we'll have a concept plan. The work group then uses that concept plan to start fundraising. That's when we finally start going to the businesses and we start asking for donations to that. By that point, the nonprofit should also be set up for them to receive the monies. So,
Just a point of clarification, we're all talking generalities, but when you said we go to the business, we don't go to the business, they're gonna go to the business.
I'm using we because I'm.
I understand that, but you were on YouTube, so I want to make sure everybody understands.
Yeah, because as I'm blurring the lines, that's because I'm very actively involved, so that's why I'm using the we.
I know that.
The Stony Park.
Right, we'll go with.
Business.
Yeah.
And their paperwork was submitted the other day by our solicitor. The solicitor has been helping with getting nonprofit status. Their paperwork was submitted to the state. Once we have an EIN number, even though there's a lot of other steps that still need to occur, that's when the checking account can get opened up. They've already got a president, vice president, secretary and treasurer set up. We still gotta get bylaws put together for them so that they have their rules of operation. And actually, they're also being prepared right now as we're kind of speaking. But we may have an EIN number and a checking account by May 6th, we may not. 2 weeks from now, afterwards, we're definitely going to have a checking account set up where monies can actually start getting received. And like we talked about, we already have a $23,000 donation from Garden Spot. So we're already in pretty good shape. The other thing that sketch plan drawing will do is will allow us to apply for a DCNR grant, which we're looking for a $200,000 grant. And community builds do very well with grant funds. I think because of the precedent that was established by Garden Spot, I do think that we will exceed fundraising goals. And there are some things that are going to make the project more expensive because the council is capped at $100,000. They are very well aware of that, and they're not making any additional asks at this point. But it would be nice to have an insurance policy if DCNR falls flat with money coming in. Plus, we have parking lots and other things. It'd be nice to see if we can get some of that money to build up besides just pay for the bike. So they're not going to stop fundraising when they hit $100,000. I do not see any reason why we cannot exceed $100,000 in fundraising.
Right. And I think it's very important that you touched on it, but the catalyst of Garden Spot, their $23,000 donation, that's got to be up front, foremost, so everybody knows that, hey, here's your chance to show your true colors, and Garden Spot did so.
We were going to trumpet Garden Spot at the
Right.
reveal too. So I want to make sure that Barry Simpson's act
Correct.
revealed that evening. So we're definitely going to give him a shout out this morning.
Good deal, thank you.
So, and then next time, we do have a monetary settlement. Tom Goodman is working with Bergstrom's drafting up an agreement.
Finally.
We need to get meetings still set up with Bergstrom's to just go over the work again. But pretty much all the pieces are in place at this point. Once the agreement's in place, you guys will execute the agreement, and then Bergstrom starts the work.
Good, good.
So, we did MS4 Woody Waste on Thursday, which is not tomorrow. Tony, myself, and Brent are meeting with the two, down at the two's offices to go over zoning and text amendments, which we had talked about. And so we're at the next step now. I've asked both of them to kind of start putting their wish list together of things. I have my wish list on both the zoning and SADA. We'll talk to the two about. After that step, then we'll also get Tom Goodman involved. We do have monies budgeted for both the Ratu and Tom Goodman for zoning text amendments. One philosophical thing to talk about would be whether we do a separate small cell ordinance or we roll it into our zoning. I'm saying that because as East Hempfield's gone through a small cell ordinance, Mr. Chair, you're going to have to be very strict about allowing residents to speak and property owners to speak in meetings. Because that brings out a crowd from all over the region, not just in Lancaster County, to show up at those meetings with the sole purpose of trying to get you to write an ordinance that's unconstitutional, will violate the PUC and violate state statute right now, which says you're trying to prohibit cell phone, small cells as well as any new towers being installed in Michigan because they're afraid of EMF.
Well, the rule should be if you don't live here, you don't understand it, so you can't speak.
And I think we better have a meeting of the firewall.
Right. Well, my one thing, I think if I look back now what these Hempfield's doing right now, if I were to think about what we were doing, I mean, we keep telling people that if all we're trying to do is put reasonable restrictions on, East Hempfield could just do nothing, and they can come in and do whatever they want.
Right.
But East Hempfield can't prohibit, and they're beating us up over this ordinance, and it's almost to the point where I almost wish we didn't do anything. We just kind of let the telecommunications do whatever they want to do. That's a PUC issue, and we do nothing. They want to put it, in a community that's got underground conduit, and they want to put poles up, and more power to it.
You're gonna have to do it, huh? Yeah.
So that's a point that I'm almost, but as I'm looking at the communities that have gone down the Cohen Law Group's process of adopting these ordinances, and these groups that are going around, many ways, sometimes just making a tweak to your zoning ordinance is a lot smaller path of resistance than trying to create a whole new ordinance. So just bringing in a definition for a small cell and maybe putting up one or two reasonable restrictions and calling it done might avoid the need to do a fire hall meeting down the road versus advertising a whole new self-ordinance and on that. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow.
The biggest issue we have with the small cells are in the tight village areas, Greenstown,
Wabash Landing.
Wabash Landing, Stevens, where they want to put some ungodly thing on a telephone pole outside somebody's bedroom window. That's the biggest issue, so if we can navigate that, I think we'll be.
Yeah. So I work with Tony, I just, even for Tony's sanity as well as our poor planning commission, because right now these Tenville's planning commission is just getting great on these meetings. So we're gonna have to look at that. I mean, it's going on around the whole county. Every municipality is trying to look at small cells. Again, you cannot regulate it away. That is an absolute myth, just like the pipeline discussions a couple years ago, that you could go develop home rule and tell a pipeline they can't put a pipeline in your municipality. You will not survive the court challenge. All you've done is guarantee you will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees and lose.
That's right.
And these groups don't care. They want municipalities to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and lose because they just want to make it difficult for these companies to do business in this area.
And your conversation goes back to the point of the beginning of the meeting. We've already discussed where we can spend our money wisely. We don't need to spend it frivolously trying to defend something that's indefensible. So we got the EMS service, the fire companies, they need the money. I'd rather take that money that we're going to use to try and defend something that's undefendable and put it where it's good use.
So we'll talk. I mean, Virtue's not they're not going to put the Cohen's camp. So we'll get a slightly different perspective. I would like I said, like a little second opinion on what we do and don't do at this point. There is some disagreement among some municipal managers about whether you go the Cohen route or not. So I'd like to just get some alternate opinions at this point. We should go off with alternate opinion. That concludes my report.
Okay, public comment for non-agenda items. Yes, Chance?
I would just like to thank the Board of Supervisors and the Township Manager for actually taking the amount of time that you guys have taken to help address the EMS situation that we have. I think it's,
Thank you. It's our responsibility.
and you guys being the only board, if you will, that's taken the initiative that you guys have taken, I think it's something you guys need to be commended on.
For the record, a lot of the municipalities are still in denial mode. And denial mode is going to get more expensive down the road for fixing things.
Yeah, but I'd like to just say again, thanks. And I know I give, some input, and sometimes I rattle some nerves with questioning, but I really think it's something that needs to be discussed, and I think we're doing a great thing by doing it and taking the initiative, so I want to thank you.
Thanks.
Yes.
We have to adjourn to executive session for litigation purposes.
Mr. Chair, we can adjourn with that, and if you could conclude the meeting, and we don't need to come back.
We don't have to come back, okay, well then I need to.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Chris.
I know we were doing-
Chris.